Good evening, I'm Andrew Chang.
And I'm Adrienne Arsenault. Tonight, violence escalating in the Middle East, fueling fears of all-out war. Israeli ground troops are massing near Gaza. Clashes on the streets in Israel, bombardments from above, shattering Eid celebrations.
He would be screaming, terrified, and crying each time they would hear the bomb.
That was the most fear I think I've ever had in my life.
Chilling first-hand accounts from those caught in the middle.
Justin Trudeau! In a scandal that rocked his government, the Prime Minister is cleared of all wrongdoing, but his former Finance Minister is not. Rosie and At Issue are here.
Last stop for Greyhound.
It's the most absurd thing I've ever heard. We need more transportation here, not less.
Service stopped across the country. What it means for Canadian communities left behind.
And once you get the shot, when can you lose the mask? Why Canadian and American officials have different answers. This is The National. It is Eid, the end of the holy month of Ramadan, what should be a joyful time, but in the Middle East, a time now of fear, suspicion, and bloodshed that has already scarred Israel and Gaza.
And it could now be escalating with preparations for an Israeli ground operation. Israeli bombs and artillery already battered Gaza today. Skyline shattered, the ruins growing, along with the lives lost in the rubble. Hamas continued to send a rain of rockets down on Israel, causing destruction and sending some to shelters. The world has called for a ceasefire, but now Israeli troops have massed near Gaza. Sasha Petrusik has covered Israel and Gaza extensively, and he's following a fight that could be entering a new and even more dangerous phase.
The sky over Gaza lit up again tonight as word spread that after 4 days of heavy bombing, some kind of Israeli ground operation may be starting. Troops, tanks, and artillery have been massing at the border between southern Israel and Gaza for days. This while the battles raged overhead. Hundreds of rockets fired out of the Palestinian territory, aimed all over Israel. And a withering assault by Israeli drones and missiles hitting targets in Gaza, leaving more than 100 dead, including top Hamas militant commanders. Today, between the sound of missiles, the call to prayer echoed across Gaza. The Eid holiday, one of the most joyous on the Muslim calendar, eclipsed by war. The Sakala family left their house when they got a text message warning moments before an Israeli missile destroyed it. It's hard for the children, says their mother Sobhia. They have become homeless. As the death toll mounts on the other side of the border as well, with at least 7 Israelis killed, the anger and political pressure is also rising. Eli Butera's family narrowly escaped.
And the government should wipe out Gaza. Once and for all.
There is also pressure on the streets of Israeli towns, where for the second day, police and community leaders have struggled to contain the violence. In this case, a shootout between Jewish and Arab crowds. Israeli leaders have condemned the clashes, but critics say they've also encouraged Jewish extremists for years.
That is the kind of thing that empowers and maybe even, well, incites people who in the Jewish community are extreme right-wing and think that violence and vigilante violence is a legitimate thing to do.
So, Sasha, a lot of signs now of a ground offensive in the works. What's your sense of what we can expect?
It'll be very interesting. There's a lot of pressure inside Israel to go in, but there's also going to be a lot of pressure internationally from the Americans and from others not to go in and not to be seen to be escalating.
So I know that you spent time in the Jerusalem Bureau. You've covered a lot there. What's your instinct about what's different this time?
Well, in previous times, whenever there's been a war between Israel and Gaza, it's usually escalated and friction's been between these two groups, the militants in Gaza and the government of Israel, the army. In this case, what's precipitated it has been issues in Jerusalem, issues of land and people being kicked out and religious frictions over the Al-Aqsa Mosque. So The source is inside Israel, not something with Gaza directly.
Okay, interesting. Sasha Petrusek, thank you.
My pleasure.
Now, in a sign of how dangerous the skies are right now in that region, Transport Canada has ordered Canadian carriers to temporarily halt flights in and out of Tel Aviv, and Israeli authorities have issued a notice to reroute traffic away from Ben Gurion International Airport.
Well, the fighting isn't just playing out between armed forces in the Middle East tonight. It's being fought on screens all over the world as various sides use information and misinformation to shape what we see and how we see it. Thomas Daigle shows us that conflict.
What's really going on here? On social media, seeing is not enough for believing. Take this tweet by a spokesperson for the Israeli Prime Minister, sharing a video purported to show rockets fired in Gaza. A search reveals the clip was in fact recorded at least 3 years ago in Syria. And that's just the start of it. Inaccurate claims made online, keeping fact-checkers busy.
There is a clear information war going on. Both parties are using misinformation to deceive or maybe leverage public international support.
Often in English and aimed at audiences abroad, the social media battle is playing out in real time. The Israeli military defending its airstrikes, saying, "What would you do if this was your city?" Palestinian militants, for their part, showing off new rockets, almost in response.
Each side wants to prove its point and wants its own narrative to be disseminated more than the others.
Consider it was a TikTok video of a Palestinian slapping an Orthodox Jew that set off protests last month.
Every life that is lost in this conflict is precious.
Israeli writer Hen Mazig posted this cartoon suggesting Israelis and Palestinians both deserve to live in dignity and security. It was flagged as hate speech and taken down, though Instagram now admits that was a mistake.
To not be able to correct lies that are spread on my country, on my people, on me, on my family, is just more than heartbreaking.
Trouble is, this is a decades-old conflict that triggers an emotional response for so many, with generations of pain that can't be summed up in one post. Thomas Daigle, CBC News, Toronto.
And stay with us as we bring you more voices from inside both Israel and Gaza tonight, divided by conflict, united by hope for a better future.
What I would want them to know is that we feel their pain the same way. We feel bad for the civilians in Gaza that don't have bomb shelters like us.
Over the past 2 days, we spoke with two young women about their fears and hopes for what comes next. One a student in Israel who once lived in Canada, the other a dentist living in Gaza. Their stories in about 20 minutes.
Well, after a year of tough scrutiny, a win for the Prime Minister today. A federal ethics commissioner has cleared Justin Trudeau of wrongdoing in the We Charity controversy, but notably not his former finance minister. Here's David Cochran.
He's appeared on stage at We Charity events. His wife was an official We ambassador. But the ethics commissioner says the Prime Minister did nothing wrong. The appearance of a conflict of interest does not constitute a contravention of the Act. The conflict must be real. The conflict wasn't real, the controversy real enough to prompt this apology.
I made a mistake in not recusing myself immediately from the discussions, given our family's history.
Margaret Trudeau.
But Mario Dion found no issue with that family history, even though Justin Trudeau's mother and brother were paid thousands to speak at We events. The argument that Mr. Trudeau's relatives could ultimately benefit is too remote and speculative to merit further consideration.
I wish that, in hindsight, we had done things differently around the We Charity.
On that point, the ethics commissioner agrees, finding that Bill Morneau broke the rules, that Morneau and his family were close with We co-founder Craig Kielburger, socializing, exchanging gifts, taking trips. And Morneau's support of We to run the $900 million grant program provided an opportunity to improperly further We's private interests because of his friendship with Mr. Craig Kielburger.
The special access of Liberal insiders was in full swing and operation.
Dion's findings back that. Morneau gave Kielburger preferential treatment and unfettered access to finance department staff.
They breached ethics to help their friends, and it hurt students.
In separate statements, Trudeau and Morneau said their goal in all of this was to help students. The end result is the grant program never launched. WE has stopped operating in Canada, and the Liberals hope they can finally put this behind them. David Cochran, CBC News, Ottawa.
So does this mark the end of the WE controversy for the government? Rosie and the Ad Issue panel weigh in on that and more in about 25 minutes.
2 more provinces have suspended the use of AstraZeneca's COVID-19 vaccine as federal officials reveal new numbers of rare blood clotting associated with the shot.
As of May 12th, there have been 28 reports of blood clots with low levels of blood platelets following immunization in Canada. We take these reports of side effects to vaccines, however rare, very seriously.
More than 2.3 million AstraZeneca doses have been distributed nationwide, with an additional 655,000 delivered today.
Well, Manitoba has broken a single-day record for COVID-19 cases, 560 reported in the last 24 hours, along with 3 more deaths.
I think there have been some people that have ignored the health orders. We've stepped up our enforcement. Our enforcement is stronger than anywhere in the country, and we're continuing to do our very best.
Manitoba now has the 2nd highest daily infection rate in the country, behind Alberta.
We need to maintain the stay-at-home order and all public health measures until at least June the 2nd.
Restrictions were extended in Ontario today, with schools and outdoor recreational facilities to remain closed for at least another 3 weeks. The province reported more than 2,700 cases today and 31 more deaths.
After nearly 100 years in operation, Greyhound Canada is shutting down for good. For many, the service was an essential lifeline. And Jacqueline Hansen explains some say more should have been done to save it.
The iconic Greyhound was sidelined by COVID-19, and now it's tapping out. The company says a full year without revenue has unfortunately made it impossible to continue operations. It's a blow to the many Canadians who have relied on it.
It's the most absurd thing I've ever heard. We need more transportation here, not less.
Greyhound bus is the very good option for the international students.
I don't drive with license, so I take a bus everywhere.
But Greyhound's business has been struggling for years. Fares often fell short of being profitable. In 2018, it canceled all routes in Western Canada, but held on in Ontario and Quebec until now.
These bus services really are providing an important lifeline service in places that for people who are often cut off and don't have access to a private car to be able to get between communities.
400 transit workers will also lose their jobs. Their union blames the federal government for not stepping up.
When the pandemic hit, there was no new money or stimulus money for inner-city transit operations.
It's been calling for a national, publicly funded transit strategy for years.
Now is the tipping point. We've seen what the lack of investment, what privatization has done, and how it has collapsed the infrastructure in inner-city transit.
Some help may be coming. The federal transport minister tweeted, "We will work with our provincial partners to explore options to address this gap and provide Canadians with safe, reliable, and affordable transportation across the country." Other companies could also take over canceled routes, but some worry a piecemeal approach could be more costly and time-consuming for riders.
And it will be those who are already most disadvantaged who are going to bear the brunt of this.
Left to figure out what post-pandemic travel will look like without the buses that have been on the road for nearly a century. Jacqueline Hansen, CBC News, Toronto.
Well, the Quebec government is proposing major changes to the province's language laws. The goal, to stop a sharp decline in the French language. But while the goal is straightforward, there is nothing simple about the way the government wants to get there. Sarah Levitt explains.
This thinks society is a plus.
Premier François Legault says the French language is fragile, now more than ever, so he's taking an unprecedented step.
It's about protecting something that will always be vulnerable, which is our language in Quebec.
This latest reform comes after studies from Quebec's language watchdog, which showed a decline in the use of French both at home and at work. Montreal is the focus. According to the last census, half of Montrealers called French their first language, compared to 78% across the province.
When you look at the figures, we're not going in the right direction.
This new legislation, Bill 96, will tighten rules on the use of French in businesses, provide more French lessons to newcomers, and limit the number of Francophone and Allophone students accepted to English cégeps, something not sitting well with these high schoolers.
We won't lose our French because we just go to an English school.
I feel like everyone can have like the same chance to go to an Anglophone cégep if they want to.
Quebec's Anglophone community worries history is repeating itself.
We've experienced in the past with previous governments that the English-speaking minority community of Quebec has been collateral damage.
The Parti Québécois, though, thinks it doesn't go far enough.
That bill reasonably cannot change the decline, the steep decline of the French language in the Montreal region.
But to clear the way of potential legal challenge,
Monsieur Legault is taking no chances. He's just used the notwithstanding clause for all the legislation, everything.
The clause allows the province to override certain sections of the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedom. Legault says his priority is and always will be to protect the French language, something he hopes this sweeping bill will do. Sarah Levitt, CBC News, Montreal.
It was a video that shocked the country. An Indigenous woman lay in a Quebec hospital filming a staff hurled racist insults at her. She was dying and she'd be gone hours later. Now a coroner's inquiry is looking into her death and how Indigenous people are treated in the healthcare system. A warning, some of the video you're about to see is disturbing. Alison Northcott now on the first day in court.
Members of Joyce Echaquan's family and her community of Manawan gathered at the courthouse, among them some of her children, her parents, and her husband.
La famille est là, prête. Nos enfants sont ici avec nous, nerveux mais confiants.
Inside, often overcome with emotion, Carole Dubé described his partner of 23 years as a loving and social person and detailed how she'd gone to the hospital with stomach pains and how the video she live-streamed showing healthcare workers taunting her with racist remarks was circulating online as he tried to reach someone at the hospital but couldn't get through. He said his wife had been mistreated there before, so she was nervous and reluctant to seek care there.
It's a lot of pain, a lot of sorrow from him. How it was far from her, and how he was kind of try to do his everyday business, taking care of his kids, but at the same time wondering what's going on over there.
Echaquan's 20-year-old daughter also testified, through tears saying how hard it's been to continue on without her mother. I hope with all my heart, says Manawan Chief Paul-Émile Ottawa, that the quantity of tears they've cried will help to heal the wounds left by Joyce's tragic death. Following Echaquan's death, a nurse and an orderly at the hospital were fired, and the health authorities started mandatory cultural safety training for staff. Now, Quebec's Indigenous Affairs Minister says he'll look closely at the inquiry's recommendations, but his government has refused to acknowledge systemic racism in the healthcare system, even though others say Echaquan's treatment is proof of it.
There are people in the healthcare system that felt all right about mistreating someone, treating someone in a very clearly racist way.
The inquiry will hear from dozens of witnesses, including staff from the hospital. Echaquan's family hopes the process will bring them some answers. Alison Northcott, CBC News, Trois-Rivières, Quebec.
Well, now to British Columbia, where gang violence has gone from under cover of darkness to brazenly public. The most recent example, this past Sunday, a man gunned down outside Vancouver International Airport, one of 14 gang-linked or targeted shootings in the past 5 months. Today, police and parents are speaking out and seeking solutions. Here's Briar Stewart.
Healthy mind, healthy body.
Inside this dojo, Shanna Robin isn't only teaching martial arts. His message is about empowerment.
Good job. Let me hear you say that. Good choices equal. That's right.
He said when he was growing up in Dominica, he was in and out of gangs. That ended when he found his passion. But on Saturday night, right outside, a brazen reminder of where that kind of life can lead.
The guy was lying right there on the grass there.
Robin rushed in and tried to help, but the victim, a 19-year-old, died.
It's rather unfortunate that this incident happened over gang wars. And this is where people like me come in to help to keep the young people, the kids off the streets and give them a different way to channel their energy.
After a surge in violence, there are the familiar questions about how this can be prevented.
Parents are scared. People around that age
Manpreet
that
Sarai says there needs to be more services, particularly for teens in junior high and high school.
We try to support the family as much as we can. The youth has, at that point, the youth usually refuses services if they're so entrenched into the gang lifestyle. But then we support the rest of the family. There's other siblings in that family, and the parents are worried that they might go down the same path.
Nobody is born a gangster.
And Shanann Sharanya knows that firsthand. He started doing drugs and stealing cars in his teens, then fell in with gangs. He got out in 2007 after his parents' home was shot at.
I didn't know how to be in a civilized society anymore, so I had to learn that. But that being said, you know, with the right support, with the right network, it's possible.
Go, 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 go.
But it's much harder when someone is already embroiled in that life.
Am I a good influence on you guys? That's the type of people you need around you.
So those who work with young people say the real solution is to help them find a different direction in the first place. Briar Stewart, CBC News, Burnaby.
Well, a major shift in the U.S. tonight. Fully vaccinated Americans can start taking off their masks.
I think it's a great milestone, a great day.
Next, why the sudden change south of the border, and could we expect the same here?
Caught in the bombardment, a first-hand look at life in Israel and Gaza right now.
They would be screaming, terrified, and crying each time they would hear a lot of bombs.
That was the most fear I think I've ever had in my life.
And a survivor of the Ottawa bus crash prepares to take a new step in her recovery.
My mentality has always been nothing can break me.
We're back in 2. Welcome back. U.S. health officials announced a major change in COVID policy today. The CDC says fully vaccinated people can finally ditch their masks and walk away from social distancing, a move they hope will encourage more Americans to get the shot. But as Katie Simpson tells us, not everyone is on board.
President Joe Biden in public with no mask.
I think it's a great milestone, a great day. It's been made possible by the extraordinary success we've had in vaccinating so many Americans.
The Centers for Disease Control says it's safe for the fully vaccinated to resume activities that you did prior to the pandemic without wearing a mask or staying 6 feet apart. However, people must still follow state and local safety mandates, and masks are still required in medical settings, on public transit, and in airports. The CDC director says the decision was made
based on the continuing downward trajectory of cases, the scientific data on the performance of our vaccines, and our understanding of how the virus spreads.
While cases have plunged, the U.S. is still averaging more than 600 COVID deaths a day.
Congratulations.
Vaccine eligibility has been expanded to kids as young as 12, and so far about 35% of the entire population is fully vaccinated. The pace has been slowing, and new extreme measures are being introduced to encourage the hesitant, including a $1 million lottery draw for vaccinated people in Ohio.
I have an obligation, and that is to do everything I can to save lives.
Canada won't recommend a masking change until the numbers start to improve.
For something like the face mask, I would say that would be probably one of the last things to go.
In Washington, D.C., some are uncomfortable with the changes.
I personally will continue to wear my mask until herd immunity. There are a lot of people in this country who are refusing to get vaccinated, so you don't know who is and who isn't, so that's a little bit of a, it's a little iffy.
Early reaction from the medical community has been fairly supportive. Some governors say they're not ready to lift their mask mandates and want their public health experts to weigh in first. Katie Simpson, CBC News, Washington.
As violence escalates in the Middle East, first-hand accounts from those caught in the middle.
That was the most fear I think I've ever had in my life.
Next, from Israel and Gaza, two young women share their experiences and their messages for each other. The violence between Israelis and Palestinians is in a way hurting people in this country too, who can only watch helplessly. That this is happening on Eid, normally a time of celebration, is another layer of agony. The distance can make it that much harder to connect with the reality of what others are living through. under the deadly barrage of airstrikes and rocket attacks. So over the last 2 days, we've had late-night conversations with two young women. Amit Sherman is a student in Israel, and like most Israelis, did a stint in the military. She once lived in Canada. 38 kilometers away in Gaza is Hala Shulman, a dentist living in a tower block with her family. We spoke with her last night on an intermittent internet connection, making it sometimes hard to hear, as she and her family were preparing for Eid. I'm wondering what is happening outside your window. Like, what, as we talk, what are you hearing?
I'm hearing airstrikes. I'm not sure where exactly they are, but I can hear them. There were some very strong airstrikes like 30 minutes ago.
So on a night like tonight, when the sun went down and your family is together, how are you staying safe? Like, what do you do with the kids?
They would be screaming, terrified, and crying each time they would hear a kind of bombs. We hug them. We tell them the stuff like in a general way. We started like saying fireworks. They've seen buildings that have been completely destructed around the area, so you cannot lie on them.
This is what Hala says happened next to her tower block, and she took this video from her bedroom window. It's a view she says she wishes Israelis could see and feel.
I would love them to read about the situation more profoundly, to know the reality behind what we and them are facing. It's very inhumane for them and us to live in this situation. It's true, we're suffering more than them, but they're also suffering.
There will be Israelis who say and have said that the rocket fire coming out of Gaza, which is indiscriminate and aiming for the cities, is dangerous and unforgivable. What do you say to them?
I would say that the rockets coming from the Israeli occupation forces, which is one of the international strongest army and the one who has the greatest defense power in the world, is the greatest power happening on the weakest community, is very much unjust, is very much brutal.
From a Gaza shuddering 38 kilometers and a universe away in Israel is Amit Sherman, who lives near Ashdod and spoke with us from a bomb shelter. How much time have you found yourself spending in the bomb shelter?
It's extremely exhausting. My phone is currently going off every second now that we're speaking, with sirens that are all in my area. The other day we were driving, the first day this all started, I was driving back from Tel Aviv. There were 3 sirens and we had to stop on the side of the road in the middle of a highway and duck down next to our car. That was the most fear I think I've ever had in my life.
We spoke with a young woman in Gaza. I was asking her if she had any conversations with Israelis, if she had any on the net, any Israeli friends. So I'm wondering if you have any Palestinian friends or any Palestinian conversations and what you would want them to know.
I don't have any Palestinian friends. What I would want them to know is that we feel their pain the same way. We had a conversation about it today in our house, actually, that we feel bad for the civilians in Gaza that don't have bomb shelters like us, because we know that not everyone is as fortunate as us.
What are the pictures that make you angry?
Here, houses get hit too, and schools get hit, and hospitals get hit. A 6-year-old child died yesterday while being in his bomb shelter from a piece of a missile that flew through the window that wasn't closed all the way.
When you see pictures of the airstrikes in Gaza, what goes through your mind?
I don't know how to answer that question, really, because, you know, the same way that she sees the missiles flying over her head, I see it too. I can tell you that the other
Just
day,
as we were about to talk about the future, the present barged in. The camera glitched out, and then came the sirens. Oh, I lost you there a little bit. Are you still there?
oh, there's a bomb.
I hear it.
Siren, so I gotta go.
Go back into the shelter, eh? You still there? Lost her. We will call her back and make sure she's okay in a little bit. So that conversation tonight obviously cut short. We did reach Amit afterwards. She was fine when we reached her. Hala too said she was for the moment okay. And Amit did offer a thought for the position she and Hala are in. She said, our realities aren't very different at the moment. We both want this situation to end in the most peaceful way there is.
Okay, when we come back, Rosie's here with At Issue.
Hey, Andrew, tonight we're going to talk about why the government's new broadcasting bill continues to face criticism.
Bill C10 leaves the door open for an abuse of power and infringement on the rights of Canadians.
What went wrong with Bill C10? Can it be saved? Plus, the panel's reaction to the latest ethics commissioner's report into the Prime Minister and his former finance minister. All next with Chantal, Andrew, and Althea. The government's new broadcasting legislation was meant to update Canada's Broadcasting Act and allow the CRTC to regulate online platforms. But Bill C10 has been plagued with controversy after the exemption dealing specifically with user-generated content on social media was removed.
Bill C10 leaves the door open for an abuse of power and infringement on the rights of Canadians.
Criticism that has left the minister in charge of the file under fire and forced to explain himself.
It was clear from the beginning, let me be clear, this bill won't regulate the internet or what people choose to post online or even view online.
Now, the Justice Department says the legislation does not violate the charter rights of social media users. How did we get here? Can the bill be saved? Should it? It's Thursday. I'm here with At Issue, Chantal Hébert, Andrew Coyne, and Althea Raj. We're going to get to C10. It needed all of that explanation. But first, I want to get, obviously, a reaction to the Ethics Commissioner's report that says the Prime Minister did not have a conflict of interest in relation to the WE scandal. He did say, however, that was not the case for the former Finance Minister, Bill Morneau. Andrew, why don't you give us your reaction to that?
Well, it's not a great day for the government when only your finance minister is found to have violated the Conflict of Interest Act, not as on the previous occasions, two previous occasions, the Prime Minister. But the Prime Minister appears to have skated by at a number of rather fine distinctions. Mr. Morneau was friends with the Kielburger boys, but the Prime Minister was merely friendly. His relatives were employed in the past by WE, but they weren't in the future. It was an apparent conflict of interest, but not a real one. Look, in the court of common sense, it's pretty clear you don't steer a $500 million government contract to the organization that hired your mom. And even if it wasn't in actual violation of the law, the guidelines for public office holders are pretty clear in saying that we expect them to uphold a much higher standard of behavior than that.
Though probably the political damage here is sort of done and dusted, is it not, Althea?
I don't know. I mean, the report is called Trudeau #3, and I don't think the opposition party is going to let the electorate forget that when the country goes to the polls the next time. I think, the great thing for the government is that both Mr. Morneau and Mr. Trudeau recognized, and Commissioner Dion says this in the reports, that they should have recused themselves. And even though they don't agree that there was a conflict, they agree that there was a perception of conflict, and they should have recognized that at the time, and they should not have been involved in those discussions. But I think to Andrew's point, you could totally see Dion's report going the other way, him saying that actually, in awarding the contract to WE Charity, he was ensuring financial sustainability for this company or charitable group that would continue to employ his family members, give brand awareness to his spouse. And so I really do think that there are bigger questions, though, that arise from this report.
Okay, Chantal, your thoughts.
If Bill Morneau were still the Minister of Finance, he would have had to resign today in the middle of a major political crisis. So that bullet was dodged. The report was the better alternative for the government, no contest. And this does not make it a great day for the opposition, because for all of those questions that have mostly failed to capture the imagination of Canadians, what the opposition needed was a smoking gun. And the last smoking gun they could get was the Ethics Commissioner report. So on balance, not a great day for the government, but the best day they could have hoped for.
Okay, let's get into Bill C10. I mean, I don't know if this bill continues. Does the government fix it? Is the Heritage Minister the person who can handle communicating it because of his various interviews that have ended pretty poorly over the past week? Andrew, is this something the government should be doing, and can they attempt to get it right, or do they need to sort of start from scratch again here?
I'd certainly prefer they started from scratch or indeed just withdrew the bill. The whole thing, I mean, it exploded into public controversy, at least in English Canada, with this particular business about whether it would directly regulate individual users who were posting to these social media accounts. But long before that, the broad purpose of the bill, which is to drag into the broadcasting regulatory system the internet, or at least the audiovisual component of it, not just domestic-based, but foreign-based as well, just seems to me to be completely backward. The advent of the internet with its limitless choices ought to have meant, you know what, we don't need any of that regulatory apparatus anymore. We're free. We can make our choices as Canadians and live by them. Instead, what they seem to be doing is dragging it back into the past, and I think that whole thing is really ill-advised, regardless of whether it specifically applies to individual users.
Okay, that's a convincing argument, Althea. What do you make? Should they start from scratch here?
No. The Broadcasting Act has not been updated since 1991. The reason that every single party in the National Assembly in Quebec supported this bill is because artists and producers of content have been demanding it, because what the bill really seeks to do is to try to encourage Canadians, whether they're watching Amazon Prime or Netflix or Spotify, to see Canadian content. So they want these people to invest in Canadian content like the broadcasters do, and they want Canadians to get Canadian content. That's especially important in Quebec, where the Liberal government thinks it's going to make some gains or hopes to make some gains in the next election. So I think the main problem with this bill, frankly, has been Minister Guilbeault's communications. He doesn't seem to have really understood what the amendment that had been enacted by the committee members sought to do. He miscommunicated in a television interview, tried to get his words back. Now the parliamentary secretary has been sent to clean up his mess. He will testify tomorrow at committee. We will see whether he has maybe learned a few lessons and sticking to a few lines. But I think that this is very important for the Liberal government. They campaigned on this. It was part of their platform. It's part of his mandate letter. They want to see this done.
There's 2 points there that Althea raised that are important, Chantal. The fact that it is playing so drastically different in Quebec. And then the second one, and this is a little bit more about Mr. O'Toole, is the fact that the Conservative Party doesn't seem to get that it's playing so differently in Quebec, perhaps.
I suspect they probably get it, although they won't want to go into it. They have their Quebec MPs up attacking the bill at the very same time where the National Assembly unanimously backed the bill. Now, for a unanimous backing of the National Assembly on a bill that hinges on culture I don't think I've ever seen anything like it. So where the Conservatives are on this is where they were when they went in a campaign in 2008, believing that culture cuts would get them votes because they were going after cultural elites. And I do see that in some of the social media feeds. The Quebec cultural elites. The problem is that Quebecers' relationship with culture is a bit different, and it is not seen as something elitist.
Last 10 seconds to you there, Andrew.
Well, I'm not sure the tail should be wagging the dog. I'm not sure policy for the whole country should be made based on who can win a few ridings in Quebec on the basis of this. I'm not sure we should be making policy entirely to the dictates of the cultural industries either. The broader Canadian public and the interests of the broader Canadian public ought to be the measure that guides us in these deliberations, but so often it's not the case.
Okay, Chantal gets 5 because she's flagging.
Just one word, the NDP has 1 seat in Quebec and the Liberals have many seats outside Quebec. So they are not speaking for the tail that wags the dog that can't wait to have the Conservatives do it. Sorry.
Okay, I got to leave it there. I'm glad we ended with that. We are going to pick up this conversation on the At Issue podcast. Plus, we have another bill to talk about, a very important one in Quebec.
The objective is clear. We want to make sure that in the future, we still speak French.
You can find that on any major podcast app, our website, cbcnews.ca/The National. And with that, I'll throw it back to Adrian and Andrew in Toronto.
Okay, well, this weekend, a 2-kilometer walk that might as well be a marathon.
I never set out to be a source of inspiration. I'm honored that I am.
Next, this bus crash survivor is taking on a daunting challenge. We'll explain why. An Ottawa woman is marking a milestone in her recovery. After a devastating injury in a horrific bus crash 2 years ago, she is taking on a very personal challenge as a way of saying thanks to those who've helped her along the way. Robin Miller shows us how.
Marcy Stevens doesn't let much get her down.
My mentality has always been nothing can break me.
Since losing her legs 2 years ago, Stevens has had to overcome many obstacles, and now she's stepping towards a new goal.
Nervous. I don't know if I'm going to fall flat on my face, but I'm going to try not to.
She's taking part in Ottawa Race Weekend on Sunday, with plans to walk as far as 2 kilometers on her new prosthetic legs along the Trans-Canada Trail near her home.
I'm going to walk as far as I can. I might not be the full distance. I might be able to do maybe a quarter, maybe not even 10 minutes, but I plan to roll the rest of it.
A lofty goal to thank those who helped with her recovery.
I wanted to do it for everyone that has helped me, everyone that has given me a reason to continue on. So all the nurses and all the doctors and all the staff at the Ottawa Hospital.
Stevens was one of 35 people seriously injured when the double-decker city bus she was on slammed into an awning at Ottawa's Westboro station. 3 others died in the crash.
She's an extremely positive person.
Dr. Nancy Dudek has been working with Stevens. She describes her recovery as inspirational.
Not only did she have to learn to adjust to having an entirely different body, but she had to start working on developing, frankly, a much higher level of physical fitness.
I never set out to be a source of inspiration. I'm honored that I am, but I'm just trying to be the best that I can be.
No doubt that's exactly what she'll do on Sunday. Robin Miller, CBC News, Ottawa.
A museum on Vancouver Island is dealing with a few visitors tonight. There are thousands of birds bunking in the chimney. We'll get the story behind this incredible sight right after the break.
Well, migration has begun for Vox's swifts. These birds, native to Central and South America, fly up the Pacific coast to breed. But a few thousand of them have made a stopover in Canada. And to the surprise of the staff at the Courtney Museum in British Columbia, their chimney became the preferred pit stop. It's our moment.
When I heard that, I thought it was like an urban myth about birds filling your chimney, but it's true. They're called the Vos swift. Typically, they would stay in a hollow tree, but because of our changing earth and most of those big old trees have been knocked down, habitat loss brings them to the chimneys in factories and other buildings like ours. They'll be flying around all the community all day long, eating bugs, drinking water, but then just before dusk, they'll come back into near the museum, and then they'll get into one big flock, and they start going around in circles like a big tornado. We got excited and started telling people about it. Hey, you got to come down and see these guys fly into the chimney at night, because it's really cool to see that, nature's doing its thing, and to see thousands of these birds moving through the community. It's just a wonderful sight.
I feel like I might also have bad dreams about this one.
Yeah, beautiful or apocalyptic?
Or terrifying. So,
sure.
don't be mad. The chimney is out of commission. None of these birds are okay, right? So don't be mad.
Can I say what
Please,
like
I'm
my
waiting.
question that I had out of that, just watching that footage? How do they count them?
That's a very good
Like, how do you know, right? It's not like a crowd size where you could just kind of take a snapshot and...
I'm glad it's not my job.
If anyone knows, send me an email. I'd love to know. She wants to know too. That's the National Fist, May 13th. Wouldn't you?
Sure.
Have a good night.
Good night.